Hey there, it's me again, Michelle, and welcome back to my Canadian History channel. Today's episode is about Banting and Best, the discoverers of insulin. First, let's start off with a really brief summary of this really amazing story of discovery. Insulin was discovered by Sir Frederick G. Banting, Charles H. Best, and J.J.R. MacLeod at the University of Toronto in 1921. It was later purified by James B. Collip. Insulin was one of the greatest medical breakthroughs in history, which went on to save millions of lives around the world and triggered a century of diabetes discoveries. Okay, now for some of the details. What was the impact of diabetes prior to this discovery? Well, it wasn't good. If you were diagnosed with type 1 diabetes in the pre-insulin era, your life expectancy was actually quite short. As examples, between the years 1897 and 1922, if you were diagnosed with type 1 diabetes at, say, age 10 years old, your life expectancy was only another 1.3 to 2.6 years. At age 30, your life expectancy was only another 4.1 to 6.3 years. And at age 50, it was only another 8 to 9.5 years. So overall, diabetes was a death sentence, especially for the young. Okay then, so what are insulin and diabetes then? Well, insulin is an essential hormone. It helps your body turn food into energy and controls your blood sugar levels. If you have diabetes, your body can't make enough insulin or can't use it properly. The insulin hormone is made by your pancreas that helps your body use sugar for energy. If your pancreas doesn't work as it should, it may not make or release the insulin you need to control your blood sugars, resulting in diabetes. Insulin moves glucose from your blood into your cells all over your body. Glucose comes from both food and your body's own natural release of stored glucose. Think of insulin as the key that opens the doors of the cells in your body. Once insulin opens your cell doors, glucose can leave your bloodstream and move into your cells where you use it for energy. Without enough insulin, glucose can't get into your cells and instead builds up in your blood. Now for diabetes. Diabetes is a condition in which your body doesn't make enough insulin or your body doesn't use insulin correctly. There are actually two types of diabetes. Type 1 diabetes is when your pancreas does not make insulin because the body's immune system attacks the islet cells in the pancreas that make insulin. Type 2 diabetes is when your pancreas makes less insulin than it used to, and your body becomes resistant to insulin. Okay, now we know what insulin and diabetes are. Let's now move on to Banting and Best and the others involved in this great discovery. The 7th of November 1920. First, great minds need to come together. By 1920, scientists had already pinpointed clusters of cells in the pancreas, called islets, that produce insulin and worked out that it was these cells that are destroyed in type 1 diabetes. Understanding the cause of type 1 diabetes meant researchers now had a chance of treating the condition. Attempts have been made to extract insulin from ground-up pancreas cells, but they had all proved unsuccessful. The challenge was to find a way to extract insulin from the pancreas without it being destroyed in the process. In October 1920, Frederick Banting, a Canadian surgeon, read an article that suggested insulin-producing cells in the pancreas are slower to deteriorate than other pancreas tissue. Banting realized that this might allow for the removal of insulin by breaking down the pancreas in a way that would leave just the cells that produce insulin intact. But Banting wasn't a scientist, and he knew he couldn't test his theory alone. On 7 November 1920, he paid a visit to a top professor at the University of Toronto, John MacLeod. They put their minds together and began to work on a plan. The 17th of May 1921, the experiment started. MacLeod provided Banting with the labs needed to conduct their experiments and brought in a research student called Charles Best to help out. Best specialized in testing blood to check glucose levels. This would be the way they would know whether their insulin extracts were having any benefit. On 17 May 1921, Banting, Best, and McLeod first got together to begin their research and set about figuring out how to remove insulin from a dog's pancreas. Their method involved tying off the pancreatic duct to kill off other substances in the pancreas that would destroy insulin but leave the islets intact. The remaining extract would then be given to other dogs who didn't produce any of their own insulin because their pancreas had been removed to work out its effects on their blood sugar levels. The 10th of November 1921, their first experiments are successful. Progress was initially slow, and while many of their experiments failed, Banting and the team saw regular drops in blood sugar levels as a result of their extract and were confident they were onto something big. By November, they had successfully treated the dog with diabetes with their insulin extract for 70 days. The 12th of December 1921, a new team member is followed by a new and pure insulin. James Collop, a biochemist, joined the group to work on purifying insulin so it would be safe enough to be tested in humans. With his help, a more concentrated and pure form of insulin was developed, this time from the pancreases of cattle. The 11th of January 1922, insulin was first used to treat a person with diabetes. In January 1922, Leonard Thompson, a 14-year-old boy dying from type 1 diabetes, became the first person to receive an injection of insulin. Within 24 hours, Leonard's dangerously high blood sugar levels dropped, but he developed an abscess at the site of the injection and still had high levels of ketones. Collop worked day and night on purifying the extract even further, and Leonard was given a second injection on the 23rd of January 1922. This time it was a complete success, and Leonard's blood sugar levels became near normal with no obvious side effects. For the first time in history, type 1 diabetes was not a death sentence. The 3rd of May 1922, the word insulin is used for the first time. On 3 May 1922, McLeod announced the discovery of insulin to the international medical community, presenting a paper called The Effects Produced on Diabetes by Extracts of Pancreas at a meeting of the Association of American Physicians in Washington. It was the first time the team used the word insulin. The audience gave their researchers a standing ovation. The 23rd of January 1923, insulin belongs to the world. On 23rd of January 1923, Banting, Collop, and Best were awarded U.S. patents on insulin and the methods used to make it. They all sold these patents to the University of Toronto for $1 each. Banting famously said, "Insulin does not belong to me, it belongs to the world." He wanted everyone who needed it to have access to it. The 15th of October 1923, insulin is produced on a mass scale. As news of insulin's success spread, demand rocketed. The researchers set about improving their techniques for the production of insulin so it could be made in much larger quantities. Eli Lilly becomes the first manufacturer to mass produce insulin, and in October 1923, they began shipping the first commercial supply of insulin. The 25th of October 1923, the Nobel Prize. In recognition of their life-saving discovery, Banting and McLeod were jointly awarded the 1923 Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine. Banting split his half of the prize money with Best, and McLeod split the other half of the prize money with Collop. Wow, that's all I can say. Way to go, Canada, and way to go to Banting and McLeod for being such stand-up guys. By 1945, life expectancy for the same age ranges I mentioned earlier rose. 10-year-olds went up to 14.3 years, 30-year-olds went up to 30.5 years, and 50-year-olds went up to 15.9 years. But today, it's even better. Measured in years lost, a Canadian diagnosed with type 1 diabetes at age 10 can expect to lose 10.6 healthy years from their life, but it does not mean death, just a loss of healthy years. And for type 2 diabetes, you can negate the effects of the disease by managing your weight, blood sugar, cholesterol, and blood pressure. So pretty good news there. Well, that's it for this amazing story of a great Canadian discovery. Please stay tuned for the next episode, Conscription in Canada, the drafting of people for mandatory military service during wartime. Now remember, at any time, feel free to leave comments or questions below, and I'll do my best to respond to them all. And please, be a true Canadian and be polite. And if you like this content, give this video a thumbs up and click that subscribe button below to see more. And remember, if you wish, hit that bell if you'd like to be notified of any new content. Thanks everyone, and have a great day.